Why your explanations are not the real cause. The mind is very good at explaining things. Something happens and almost immediately a reason appears, a story, a cause, an explanation. It feels natural, it feels intelligent, but explanation is not the same as understanding. Most explanations are created after the fact, after the decision, after the reaction, after the outcome. The mind looks backward and connects the dots, not to discover what caused the event, but to make it make sense. Sense-making is not causality, it is coherence. An explanation feels satisfying because it reduces uncertainty. It answers the question, why did this happen? But very often the answer is constructed, not discovered. You say, this happened because I am like this. This failed because they are like that. I reacted because of what they said. These explanations feel complete. They close the question. But notice something important. The explanation arrives only after everything is already over. The reaction has already happened. The decision has already been made. The outcome is already real. The explanation comes later. Its role is not to guide behavior. Its role is to justify it. This is why explanations feel convincing. They are aligned with the result. They protect identity. They protect coherence. They protect the feeling of being rational. But causes do not work this way. Real causes operate before awareness. They are subtle, they are distributed, they are often invisible. Emotional states, past conditioning, context, physiology, timing. None of these appear in your explanation. Instead, the explanation focuses on what sounds reasonable, what fits the story, what preserves self-image. This is why two people can experience the same event and give completely different explanations. Both feel right. Both sound logical. Both are incomplete. Because explanation is not about truth, it is about meaning, and meaning is personal. The mind prefers a wrong explanation over no explanation at all, because no explanation means uncertainty, and uncertainty feels threatening. So the mind fills the gap, quickly, confidently, automatically. And once an explanation is in place, it becomes difficult to question, because questioning the explanation feels like questioning yourself. Meaning feels sufficient. It gives the impression that something has been resolved. The question feels answered. The tension drops, the mind relaxes, but nothing has actually been explained, only narrated. A story has been placed on top of the event, and stories feel complete even when they explain nothing. This is why explanation is so attractive. It creates the illusion of depth without requiring investigation. You don't need to observe. You don't need to stay uncertain. You don't need to admit you don't know. You only need a sentence that sounds plausible. Once the sentence exists, the mind moves on. I understand. I figured it out. That makes sense. But sense is not causality. Sense is coherence. The explanation fits with what you already believe, so it feels right. Not because it reveals a mechanism, but because it protects a worldview. This is why explanations are often circular. They explain behavior by referring to traits, and traits by referring to behavior. I acted this way because I'm like this. I'm like this because I act this way. The loop feels explanatory, but it explains nothing. It only reinforces identity. Real causes are rarely personal stories. They are processes. They unfold over time. They involve multiple variables. They don't point to a single reason, but processes are uncomfortable. They require patience. They resist simple language. They don't give closure. So the mind avoids them. It prefers a clean explanation to a complex cause. because a clean explanation can be repeated. It can be shared, it can be defended. A real cause usually cannot. It must be explored again each time. And that requires humility, so the mind chooses explanation. Not because it is accurate, but because it is efficient. Efficient at restoring certainty. Efficient at protecting identity. Efficient at ending inquiry. And that efficiency is precisely the problem. This is why explanations are rarely revised. Not because they are accurate, but because they are comfortable. They stabilize identity. I know why I did that. I know why this always happens. I know why this failed. These statements create closure. But closure is not insight. Insight keeps things open. Explanation closes them. When you believe your explanation is the cause, learning stops. You stop observing. You stop asking. You stop noticing patterns. You think you already understand. But what you understand is the story, not the mechanism. This mistake shows up everywhere. In relationships, in work, in self-development. I am like this because of my past. They acted this way because they are selfish. This didn't work because the timing was wrong. Maybe, but maybe not. These explanations feel true because they fit what you already believe, not because they reveal what actually drives behavior. Real causes are often uncomfortable. They challenge the story. They challenge the identity. They challenge the sense of control, so the mind avoids them. It prefers a clean narrative to a messy reality. But the cost is repetition. If you misidentify the cause, you repeat the same outcome, again and again and again, because you are addressing the explanation, not the source. This is why change feels so difficult. You try to fix the story. You try to adjust the narrative. But the underlying process remains untouched. The explanation gives the illusion that something has been addressed. It feels like progress, but nothing has moved. The same conditions remain. The same triggers remain. The same internal reactions remain. Only the story has changed, and stories are easy to change. You can rewrite them, refine them, make them sound wiser, but the system underneath does not respond to stories. It responds to conditions. As long as the conditions are invisible, the outcome stays the same. This is why people feel stuck despite understanding themselves so well. They can explain everything, but nothing shifts. Because explanation happens after the process has already unfolded. It describes the result, not the origin. And when you confuse description with cause, you keep working downstream, where effort is high and impact is low. Understanding begins when explanation is suspended. When instead of asking, "Why did this happen?" you ask, "What was happening before I noticed?" That question points upstream, toward states, toward conditions, toward processes, not stories. When you shift attention there, explanations lose their authority. They are seen as maps, not territory, useful sometimes, but never the cause. And the moment you stop confusing explanation with cause, something changes. You become more precise, more humble, more accurate, not because you know more, but because you assume less. This is not skepticism. It is clarity, and clarity begins where explanation ends. This is inner cognition.